rush up in here, man. It feels good to be back.
Oh, man, you make this place classic. I'm so happy you're here. Kimberly Martin, Rob Ninkovich also here with us. Everybody's ready to get back to it. So let us talk about some football and get right to the Hall of Fame game last night. It is our game of the night. Cowboys, Steelers, kicking it off the 2021 preseason from Canton, Ohio. 2021 Hall of Fame inductees in attendance. Look at that. Peyton Manning, Calvin Johnson, Charles Woodson, John Lynch, Jimmy Johnson, ecstatic about being inducted into the Cowboys Ring of Honor. And speaking of the Cowboys, first-round pick Micah Parsons making his presence felt. Keep an eye on him. Mason Rudolph fumbles first drive of the game. Parsons recovers the fumble. Check it out again. Gets the fumble recovery on the first defensive drive of the NFL for him. He only had one at Penn State and now has one in the NFL, at least in the preseason. Cowboys take a field goal. Najee Harris making his debut. 2nd and 5, getting the handoff, accelerating on the outside, getting that first down. 7 carries, 22 yards. Chase Claypool, remember the season he had last year? Well, he got right to it. Watch him at the top of your screen. Rudolph goes deep for Claypool, and Claypool with a great catch. He hits the ground hard, but beautiful catch. Watch it again. He had 3 catches for 62 yards. He would leave the game after this and not return. Cowboys up 3-zip at halftime. Third quarter, Dwayne Haskins making his Steelers debut. He's going to run play action right here. You watch him roll right. He finds Kevin Rader able to rip off a 15-yard gain, first down for the Steelers. Later, 2nd and goal. Cowboys 4. Haskins handing off to Kalen Ballage, who finds the end zone. First touchdown of the NFL preseason. The terrible towels out. The Steelers up 9-3 heading into the fourth quarter. Ensuing Cowboys drive. Ben DiNucci at quarterback. 3rd and 8. DiNucci, interception to Donovan Steiner. Steelers over the Cowboys. 16-3 in the first preseason game of the year. Yes, football is back. And Mike Tomlin talking about his Steelers after the game.
I like the enthusiasm and the energy in which the guys played with. I just think that's important. We're able to carry energy into the stadium. I tell you, I don't think any of us missed the fact that just having a stadium full of fans, what that does. The energy that the stands and the fans provided us, man, being without that largely for over a year was good to be back in that type of a football environment. We're appreciative of that.
Fans really making a difference. And by the way, Tomlin said that Chase Claypool is going to be fine, so that's good news there. I want to turn to our experts and get your takeaway from each of you on last night's game. D. Wood, I'll start with you.
Yeah, for me, it's Najee Harris, the Steelers' first-round draft pick at the running back position. And I know he, in the slight work that he gave, he looked good to me. You saw the burst, in the highlights, you saw him making a burst around the corner. And listen, it's going to be imperative for the Pittsburgh Steelers to have this guy be a big, impactful guy on offense. He's a 3-down guy. He's going to be instrumental in the passing game. But I thought for the little bit of work that he got last night, he looked pretty good.
They needed a running game, and he showed some stuff last night. Nink, what's your biggest takeaway?
My biggest takeaway is Ben Roethlisberger better stay healthy, because when I watched Mason Rudolph, yeah, he had one deep throw, but he also had a fumbled snap, a turnover, a couple of terribly bad throws. So when I look at the Steelers, I think their fate is going to rely on Big Ben staying healthy, because Mason Rudolph, even Dwayne Haskins, like in that battle, I didn't know who was the clear-cut winner in this first game. It was a lot of sloppy football. I guess that's preseason football. A little bit sloppy, game one.
It almost felt like Josh Dobbs had the best night among the three of them. Kimberly, what was your takeaway?
Yeah, Ryan, similar to Nink, both of these teams cannot afford to lose their quarterbacks, but especially the Dallas Cowboys. Watching that game, I kept thinking, okay, now I'm a little bit more anxious. When is Dak coming back? I think it's natural to want to see Dak on the field, but last night sort of drove that home for me, that you want to make sure he's okay and on the field for week one.
Kimberly, I am so happy that you brought that up, because let's get right to Dak Prescott. Because yesterday, your timing is perfect. Yesterday he spoke with Fox and discussed his injury. Folks, take a listen to this.
We're being cautious. We're taking it day by day. Obviously, it's 5 weeks before season opener. So I've got a lot of time, and I'm going to use that time to get myself ready for that game.
Let me assure you that I don't have anything to add to his purpose of completely rehabbing so that he doesn't have any lingering effects from this issue. But the biggest benefit from it is that I'm sure you won't see him throwing any more 70-yard alley-oop passes, practicing jump balls in the end zone. That'll be let somebody else do that.
Okay, so they're all saying the right thing, but when Troy Aikman speaks about the Cowboys, especially people listening, he had this to say about Dak's shoulder injury on last night's broadcast. The Cowboys are downplaying it, but I think when your franchise quarterback is missing the amount of time he's missing, I tend to think it's probably a little bit more significant than what they have led on. How about that from Troy? All right, so let's go to our experts, right? So, Kimberly, I start with you. What is your concern level with Dak's injury?
Well, since we heard about this injury, I was on team concern, only because it's been a year, almost a year since we've seen a healthy Dak on the football field. And listen, I've covered a lot of teams. I listened to a lot of coaches talk about injuries. Everybody seems to downplay him at first. But until I see Dak, his ankle is good, the shoulder is good, until I see him on the field, I'm allowed to be concerned. And I understand, people think, oh, we should just sit him, don't even play him in the preseason. I don't know. I need a little taste of Dak in the preseason. I don't want week 1 to be his first live action, especially against that Bucs defense.
So you need to see him in the preseason. Nink, what do you think? What's your concern level?
Just a little bit.
Hit the panic button. Listen, last week when I talked about it, I said, okay, if he misses a couple days, put some ice on it, have some rehab, put the heat on there before practice, go out, throw a few balls, get it warmed up, put some ointment on that thing, rub it out. But guess what? Now it's a week later, and I would be a little bit nervous at this point because the fate of your football team relies on that healthy shoulder or unhealthy shoulder. So for me, I'm a little bit concerned here. There are issues that could possibly be there that when he throws again, it just flares back up, and then he has a hard time staying on the field. And for me, the preseason games aren't very concerning to me. It's practice. If you can't practice and you can't play the preseason games, then come week 1 in 5 weeks, he hasn't practiced, so he hasn't worked on his timing with his receivers. He hasn't been out there, going through all the motions and the cadence and having the other teammates hear his bark, so to speak. So for me, I'm a little concerned right now. Yes, I would be concerned.
Yeah, and look, Woody, I know we're talking about practice, right? It's practice, not a game, but practice. But this case, it's important.
Absolutely, because you're talking about chemistry. Okay, the only way you get better in football is by going out there and practicing. And as a quarterback, you want to be on the same page with all those skilled guys you talk about. We've heard about CeeDee Lamb and how spectacular he's been in camp, and Michael Gallup and Amari Cooper. Well, your starting quarterback is missing huge chunks of time. They've essentially shut him down. Okay, you can't make up those reps. So if we're talking about Dak Prescott coming back closer to week 1. Man, that's going to put the Dallas Cowboys in a precarious situation because who knows if those guys are going to be on the same, in sync come week 1. So I'm nervous about this situation.
And we know as Dak goes, so go these Cowboys. I see nobody like my Iverson practice reference, but that's okay. Let's move on. All right, so I got to show you guys this.
I liked it.
Thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate this. Now I gotta show folks this. Did you see this? Aaron Rodgers, one of the great throwers in football that we've ever seen. He put on a